Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Rules Horror. Story 1. Chain Rules Killing Game. A place to share scary stories which contain a set of rules to follow. Have you ever heard the Chain Rules game? It's a strange game I found on Depth Corner on horror website. Me and my friends found these game, and we decide to play it, and to be honest, it's now my biggest regret ever. Before I tell you more about my story, I want to tell you the rules of the game. Preparation. At least 5 people needed to start the game. Prepare a sheet of paper, each player need to write their own name, their wish, and add bit of their blood as proof of participation, then burn the paper. Each player then need prepare another 2 sheet of paper, one marked as rules, and another as game status. The game status paper will update the game progress regularly. Please keep the paper with you every time. Now, the players need to decide the turn order. All method to decide are fine, but if within 24 hours the order are not decided, the game will decide it for you. After all is ready, the game can now start. Game rules. The game will start exactly at midnight. The last player now given 24 hours to write 3 rules, and pass it to first player. Any kind of rules are fine. There's no limitation of what kind of rules they can write. They can write the consequences of breaking them if they want. After 24 hours has passed, the rules will appear on every player rules paper. The first player then need to follow the rules written without breaking them for exactly 3 days. Start from midnight. If the first player succeed follow them, they given 24 hours to add 1 rule, then pass it to next player. The next player will given 3 days to follow the rules, and another day to add another 1 rules if they succeed at following them. If player failed to follow the rules, then they lost the game, and the turn passed to next player. The cycle of following and adding rules will continue until there's 1 player left. In order to win the game, the last player need to follow the rules as long as how much the rules created during the game, X. If the game create total of 10 rules, then they need to follow it for 10 days. The numbers and difficulty of rules created will affect how your wish is granted in the end. Important rules. Players shouldn't tell about the game, or the fact they play the game to every non-player when the game is still in session. Player should never compromise another player capability to follow the rules by any means. Failed to do 2 rules above will result in loss, along with heavy penalties. Once you participate the game, you can't back out. Well, now you know how the games are played, and yes, I do play the game with my school friends, 6 of us. At first, we really think this is kinda weird, but fun games, like, imagine funny and trolling rules we can create to mess with each other. So, we try the games. After we participate in game through some weird rituals there, I write I want best quality PC gaming for my wish. We decide the turn order by playing lottery, and by great luck, I got the last position. So, the turn order are Jack, Sam, Ariel, Noah, Wendy, and finally me. Because I got the last place, then I have to write the first 3 rules, and I write them. You need to do cardio at least 30 minutes per day. You need to slap someone at least once per day. Don't wear red clothes, ever. To be honest, I just make the rules randomly. It will be funny to mess with Wendy and Ariel, since I know they do hate workout, and I wanna get back at them for last year prank. So, the game begin and Jack turn first. He easily follow it, even slapping me for create dumb rules. Yeah, guess it kinda backfire on me. On the 4th night, the new rules appear on paper. For if you awake at night, and see shadow figure looming at you, punch it. Failed to do so will result you dragged to other world. What the hell? What kind of mess up rules it is? I think this is really stupid. Jack do love horror movies, but did he really need to add spooky rules like this? Anyway, it's Sam's turn, and I hope something not going to happen. But of course, something do happen. At midnight, about minutes from midnight, the day after Sam's turn, the game status paper suddenly glowing. I grab the paper, and a line suddenly written there. Sam failed to do rules 1. Sam eliminated from the game. Guess what? Sam dies. His family heard his screaming really hard at midnight, and found his dead in his room. We are all panic, we try to talk, but in the end we just frustrated and fight each other, blame each other. Well, of course it is, since we know, only one can survive in the end. But there's nothing we can do but keep playing the games. Since Sam failed his turn, it's Ariel's turn now. Nothing happened for several days, until the 5th rules added to the game, which is really shocking to me, and I'm sure all my friends are. 5. You need to consume at least 100 grams of nut every day. Noah has severe nut allergic. This is no longer a game, this is a death match now. Story 2. Rules for escaping the broken door church. A place to share scary stories which contain a set of rules to follow. So, you decided to follow Rule 2 despite it being a fake rule and against all odds, you did it. I got 2 pieces of news for you. Good news, you're free from Gateway Church. Bad news, you've been sent to Broken Door Church. Consider this place as a hard mode for those who break out of Gateway Church, though it comes with benefits if you survive. Rule 1. This church considers fake rules as a form of cheating, so do not waste time trying to identify them. Do however be warned, the illusions are no longer illusions. Rule 2. Like Gateway Church there will be illusions, however this time, they're as real is. Here's some rules for the illusions, both new and old. Rule 2/A. If it's fire, it isn't an easy escape like last time, those flames will drag you down to hell, melting your flesh the whole way down. Rule 2/B. If it's the woman from Gateway Church, find an item, any item, and lob off a limb. It can be anything ranging from toes to arms. Failure to do this will cause her to choose for you, which 9 times out of 10 will be your head. Rule 2/C. If you see the dead bodies of those you know and love, read Rule 1, you have my apologies. The only threat from this one is shattering your mind. Rule 2/D. If you see a hung Jesus, then this is a warning, get ready to run during the around 2 minutes it takes for him to wake up. Rule 3. If you suddenly pass out and wake up on Noah's Ark, at all costs do not touch the water. Even a drop is enough for your lungs to fill and drown you. You'll have to survive 1 hour on the boat while being hunted by Noah and all those animals he had aboard. Rule 4. If you blink and when your eyes open and you're suddenly at the birth of Jesus Christ, there are 2 possible scenarios, read below. Rule 4/A. If nothing is off, then take this as a break, as you'll be safe for 30 minutes after the vision is over, along with the 5 minutes that the vision takes where nothing can touch you. Rule 4/B. If baby Jesus has a rope around his neck during the birth, you need to knock yourself out before he starts crying, approximately 3 minutes. Rule 5. If you see Jesus Christ walking around with a noose around his neck, hide if he hasn't spotted you, start running if he has. Trust me, hell is no fun place. Rule 6. Don't pray to God or Jesus Christ, they're long dead. All that's left are imposters and mimics. Rule 7. Remember the creature the size of an M1A1 Abrams. Yes, someone called it Fluffs and now it accepts that as its name. Anyways, it's also hunting you. Run and hide if you see it. Being eaten alive isn't a pleasant fate. Rule 8. If you get caught by the Christ imposter, you'll get knocked out and you'll awaken at the fall. Geez, this place likes the Bible anyways. For the love of all that's left of your shattered mind, don't eat the apple. Rule 9. If you hear sirens of any kind, hide, for the skull driver has already broken in. And it got its name for a reason. Having a screwdriver stabbed into your skull is a messy way to go. Rule 10. In general, avoid flames while you're here. One flame the size of a match is all hell needs to drag you down. Rule 11. Try to keep a crucifix on you at all times. It'll act as a single-use get-out-of-death-free card. Rule 12. If you get found by Adam or Eve after experiencing Rule 8, refer to the following rules. Rule 12/A. If it's Adam, you're lucky, all you gotta do is sacrifice 1 cent to be let go. Rule 12/B. If it's Eve, you're gonna have to sacrifice someone you know, though it doesn't have to be someone you care about. You can always throw an enemy to the flames of hell. Rule 13. If at any point you see an upside-down cross, start praying to Satan himself, else you'll be torn apart and maimed. Rule 14, you'll arrive at 12 am, you'll have to survive to 12 pm to escape. Try to leave any earlier and you'll be smited by God himself. Rule 15, don't try to break out, refer to Rule 14 for more info. Rule 16, think of happy thoughts throughout this, negative energy tends to attract skull driver. Refer to Rule 9. Rule 17, don't try to fight them, you'll be fighting literal gods. As for why they don't use said godly power to instantly kill you, they consider this a game. Only exception is fluffs. Rule 18, at 12 pm the gates of the church will open, once this happens run like you just came out of a 12-hour nap, the hung Christ will be chasing you. Rule 19, if you see a man in Teutonic armor with a bladed tail and claws, hide, that isn't me. And that bladed tail is pretty sharp. Rule 20, if you see a 13-year-old man, start praying to him, he's the strongest entity here and you'll be sent to permanent limbo if you disrespect him. From Zerul. Story 3. I'm taking care of a local farm for a few weeks. They left me a strange set of rules. A place to share scary stories which contain a set of rules to follow. A few miles north of me, there's a little family-owned farm. The family takes a vacation in July, though, and they posted a job listing for a caretaker. My job would include feeding the animals, making sure the irrigation is working, and harvesting some crops. It's a small operation, so it's not fields and fields of stuff. Plus, they were offering $2,000. At the time, that seemed like an amazing deal. Now, I'm not so sure. See, the Gershons left me detailed instructions in the envelope, along with half of the stipend. And as I sat down to read it, I realized that it sounded a little strange. Dear Emily, thank you for taking care of our farm. To ensure your safety and happiness, and the animals, we've included a list of instructions and tasks. 1. Please feed the goats and chickens at 6 am sharp. They get pretty cranky if it's not on time, smiley face. 2. You will need to prune off the floricans in the raspberry patch. To do this, cut the canes, branches, that are woody and have already fruited. Wear thick gloves because there are thorns. If you do get cut, immediately head inside and call Dr. Livesey to make sure your wound is not infected. 3. The sunflower field is easy to maintain and brings beauty to our farm. However, if you ever see a sunflower that isn't facing the same direction as the others, immediately head inside. Do not return to the sunflower field until the following day. 4. The farm is, as you know, surrounded by forest. Sometimes we get coyotes, foxes, or other wild animals prowling about the grounds at night. Don't worry, the animal pens are completely secure and there is no need to check on the animals if you hear anything at night. In fact, we recommend you do not leave the farmhouse between sunset and sunrise. 5. Do not enter the corn maze. Even if you hear noises coming from the maze, that sound like a child crying, do not enter. The corn maze is not open to visitors yet. It's most likely the bobcats in the woods. 6. Do not be alarmed if you see the goats awake in the middle of the night. They are semi-nocturnal and often wake up to roam, graze, or use the bathroom. 7. You may help yourself to any of the fruits or vegetables you harvest, however, do not eat the apples from the northwest corner of the orchard. 8. We no longer use scarecrows. If you see one, please return to the house, lock all the doors, and close all the curtains. Stay inside until the following morning. 9. Make sure to always stock the farm stand twice a day, in the morning, and again in the afternoon. At night, take all unsold produce inside and store it in the refrigerator. 10. We do not own any pigs. Thank you so very much, Emily. The Gershons. I glanced out the window. The sun was hanging low over the trees, orange rays filtering through the forest. Damn it, if I'm not supposed to be out after dark because of the wolves or whatever, I better get cracking. I walked over to the goats first. They huddled close to me as I filled their food bins, staring at me with their weird slit pupils. I tried to get it done as quickly as possible. Goats, honestly, freaked me out a little bit. As I hurried away, one with black and white fur pushed its little face through the fence. It bleated, staring at me. The chickens were more skeptical of me, staring at me and letting out long bay-ah-ah-wooks as they bobbed their heads. As soon as they realized I had food, though, they came over and pecked the ground. They were pretty cute, actually. I locked the gate and turned back towards the house. I froze. Across the field from me stood the field of sunflowers. Bright golden petals and dark centers, swaying slightly in the wind. But while all of them tilted away from me, facing the dying sun, one of them near the edge of the field was instead facing me. I stared at its pitch-black center. Didn't the note say something about that? Go inside, if one of the sunflowers is pointing a different way? I locked up the chicken gate. Then I strode across the grass towards the old farmhouse, still carrying the bag of chicken feed. I was halfway to the house when I turned around again. I wish I hadn't. The sunflower was still facing me. Even though, based on my path, it shouldn't have been. I picked up my pace towards the house. Oh, come on, what do you think's gonna happen? That sunflower is gonna chase after you and murder you? My brain knew it was stupid, but there was something instinctual, a gut feeling, that forced my legs to pump harder. I didn't even bother dropping the feed off at the shed. I raced into the house and locked all the doors. Phew! Safe. I took a final glance out at the sunflower. Then I went into the tiny kitchen and started some water boiling for pasta. By the time I was sitting down to eat, I was shaking my head. So stupid. Afraid of a sunflower. Something woke me up in the middle of the night. I sat up, my neck aching from the crappy pillow they'd left for me. I looked around my tiny bedroom, but nothing seemed amiss. Well, of course there were things amiss, like the peeling paint and the light bulb that flickered and the clogged toilet. But nothing different. I yawned and checked my phone. 3:12 a.m. Sighing, I settled back into sleep. But before I drifted off, I heard it. A small, high-pitched noise. Coming from outside. I slowly forced myself out of bed and walked over to the window. Underneath me, the farm sprawled out into the darkness, but it was distorted in the old glass, shapes and colors bleeding into each other like running paint. I flipped the window lock and pushed it open, the wood squeaking loudly in my ears. I listened. Silence. Then. Help me. A voice. A child's voice. Coming from the direction of the cornfield. That's no fucking bobcat. My blood ran cold. I stared out into the darkness, at the cornfield on the edge of the woods. Hoping that it was just some lingering dream or something. But as I stood there, the cool summer breeze wafting into the room, I heard it again. Please. Help me. The voice wavered, as if the child was crying. I squinted into the darkness, staring at the cornfield. I have to go out there. I remembered the Gershon's rule, but there was no way this was an animal. Hey! I'm coming, don't worry. I shouted out the window. Silence. And then a rustling sound. I squinted at the cornfield and I could see the stalks moving, as something moved within them. Stay where you are! I shouted into the darkness. I'm coming to get you. The corn stalks continued to move. And every muscle in my body froze. The amount of corn moving, there was no way it was just a small child in there. The corn was swaying, dancing, roiling in an area maybe 10 feet across. And it was making its way towards the edge of the field. Rapidly. I shut the window. Then I closed the blinds, my heart hammering in my chest. I raced downstairs and checked the locks. And then, finally, when I was sure I was safe, I called the police. But they wouldn't even come out. There are no missing children in the area, and what you saw was most likely a bear, they explained calmly. I think they must know all about the Gershon's farm. So now I lie here, in my bed, listening the snaps and rustles of the corn stalks. There is a chair wedged under my doorknob. I've triple-checked all the locks. And all I can do is wait for dawn. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.